Many have heard about the Bermuda Triangle, but there's a lesser-known triangle in the U.S. called the Michigan Triangle. Situated in Lake Michigan, it shares a mystical reputation similar to its tropical counterpart, complete with stories of missing ships, plane crashes, UFOs, unidentified submerged objects, and even ancient ruins at the lake's bottom. Some even call it the Stonehenge of the U.S., and for good reason. One of the earliest mysterious events was the disappearance of the French sailing ship Le Griffon in 1679. Le Griffon and its crew vanished without a trace. The ship was docked at what is now Green Bay, loaded with 12,000 pounds of fur, and was set to sail for Lake Erie. However, it never arrived, and no wreckage was ever found. Some speculated that a storm sank Le Griffon. Others suspected it was attacked by the Ottawa or Potawatomi tribes, but there was never any solid evidence to support these theories. Time passed until 1891, when another incident stoked more intrigue. The schooner Thomas Hume and the Rouse Simmons had just unloaded lumber in Chicago and were returning home. The Rouse Simmons decided to stay in Chicago due to an approaching storm, but the Thomas Hume bravely sailed on and disappeared forever with 6 sailors aboard. Extensive searches and reward offerings for any information yielded nothing until 2006, when divers stumbled upon an almost pristine wreck believed to be the Thomas Hume. The strangeness escalated after 1891. The Rosabelle, a 2-masted schooner that sailed from 1875 to 1926, was found capsized twice in Lake Michigan, with no signs of her crew both times. They simply vanished. Around the same time, in 1913, people began documenting strange sightings in the sky, marking some of the first UFO reports over Lake Michigan. These sightings raised questions about a possible extraterrestrial connection to the disappearances of the ships and their crews. This brings us to one of the strangest encounters involving Captain George R. Donner of the freighter O.M. McFarland. In April 1936, the freighter had picked up 9,800 tons of coal in Erie, Pennsylvania, and was heading towards Port Washington, Wisconsin. Captain Donner, keeping an eye out for large ice floes, retired to his cabin, instructing the crew to wake him upon arrival. 3 hours later, as the vessel neared Port Washington, the second mate went to rouse the captain. Donner's cabin was locked from the inside. Assuming Donner had gone to the galley for a snack, he checked there but found nothing. The crew scoured the ship, but eventually had to break down the door to Donner's cabin. It was empty, and the captain was nowhere to be found. It was even stranger because it was his 58th birthday, and he showed no signs of distress before he had disappeared. One of the most chilling tales linked to this region is the disappearance of Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 2501. On the evening of June 23, 1950, Flight 2501 took off from LaGuardia Airport in New York City, bound for Minneapolis. Aboard the DC-4 aircraft were 55 passengers and 3 crew members, all unaware of the ominous fate that awaited them. The flight seemed routine at first, but during pre-flight planning, the crew was informed about looming thunderstorms and potential squalls along the route. The weather was concerning, but not enough to cancel the flight. To navigate around turbulence, the captain requested to fly at an altitude of 4,000 feet instead of the usual 6,000 feet. This request was crucial as weather reports grew more daunting. As they approached Cleveland, Ohio, the captain repeated his request and was granted permission to descend. Meanwhile, thunderstorms raged on. A nearby aircraft reported a turbulent drop of 500 feet while flying over Lake Michigan, a signal that conditions were worsening. Consequently, air traffic control instructed Flight 2501 to descend to 3,500 feet to avoid a potential collision. Facing the menacing storm, the pilots decided to turn the plane south in hopes of skirting the worst of it. Unfortunately, this maneuver led the aircraft straight into the storm's fury. At 11:13 p.m., the plane made its last radio call, asking to descend to 2,500 feet. Likely, they aimed to get beneath the clouds for better visibility, a critical move since this was a time before modern radar and navigation instruments. However, due to another aircraft taking off from Milwaukee, their request was denied. Shortly after, residents between Benton Harbor and South Haven saw an aircraft flying distressingly low before witnessing a sudden flash of light over Lake Michigan. Some reported hearing an explosion, though it was difficult to differentiate from the rumbling thunder. By midnight, the control tower noted the plane was missing. The following day, the Coast Guard began a frantic search. They discovered an oil slick and small debris fragments about 18 miles northwest of Benton Harbor. Over the next few days, the grim reality sank in as human remains and personal objects like pieces of clothing washed ashore. No large parts of the aircraft were ever found, only small fragments no bigger than a hand. Investigations suggested that Flight 2501 had likely crashed into Lake Michigan, probably hitting the water at a high velocity in a forward, downward, and slightly leftward direction. The exact cause remains unknown, but most speculate that severe weather and the pilot's limited visibility played tragic roles. Some alternative theories emerged, like the possibility of a lightning strike causing an explosion. However, the recovered debris showed no burn marks. Adding to the mystery, 2 police officers reported seeing strange red lights hovering over the lake that night near the supposed crash site, leading some to speculate about UFO involvement. Despite decades of searching, the rest of Flight 2501 and its passengers have never been found, cloaking the event in a dense fog of speculation and sadness. The dark waters of Lake Michigan guard their secrets well, making Flight 2501 one of the most haunting mysteries of aviation history. In 2007, just off the coast of Traverse City, Michigan, an unexpected discovery was made in the depths of Lake Michigan. Mark Hawley, a professor of underwater archaeology at Northwestern Michigan College, led a team of researchers on what they thought would be a routine exploration. What they found instead was nothing short of extraordinary, a Stonehenge-like structure submerged 40 feet underwater. This ancient formation, believed to be over 10,000 years old, consisted of large stones arranged in a circular pattern about 20 feet in diameter. These stones weren't small either. Some weighed up to 3,000 pounds and were made of locally sourced granite. The placement of the stones suggested intentional human effort rather than the result of natural events. Even more intriguing was one stone marked with a petroglyph carving of a mastodon, a prehistoric creature that went extinct around 11,500 years ago. Nearby, the team also found bones believed to belong to mastodons, hinting that whoever constructed the site might have been hunting these massive creatures. The discovery raised many questions. Who built this structure, and why? Its age placed it at least twice as old as the famous Stonehenge in England. Was it possible that these ancient people possessed knowledge or skills we've yet to fully understand? Due to the site's underwater location, studying it further proved challenging. Not many archaeologists are trained in scuba diving, which limited the number of experts who could directly examine the formation. Despite these obstacles, the research continues, inching closer to unraveling the secrets of this submerged marvel. This discovery has led some to speculate about the possible connections to the myriad of disappearances and strange events associated with the Michigan Triangle, an area in Lake Michigan known for its mysterious phenomenon. Could this ancient structure be generating some form of energy or influencing the region in ways beyond our comprehension? While many of the thousands of incidents in the Michigan Triangle might be explained by mundane factors like bad weather or human error, there remains a significant number that defy simple explanations. For now, the mysteries of the Michigan Triangle remain unsolved, and the underwater Stonehenge continues to guard its secrets beneath the waves.